Dear Premier Ford, my name is Vernon Beck. I am a Canadian by birth and a longtime resident of the Halton region in Ontario. I am a member of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party because I support your government's stated commitment to accountability, transparency, and strengthening the public institutions that serve the people of Ontario. I attended your recent Ford Fest in Scarborough. I am contacting you in that same spirit to ask that your government's stated principles of accountability, transparency, and strengthened public institutions be applied urgently and meaningfully to the systems responsible for protecting vulnerable children. As a concerned citizen and child and family justice advocate, I respectfully urge your government to establish an independent public inquiry into Ontario's child protection system in response to the murder of a young child in Halton, Ontario by Children's Aid Society approved foster parents. For many years, I have worked as a child and family justice advocate, assisting children and families who have experienced serious harm arising from deficiencies in Ontario's family court, law enforcement, and child protection systems. I have previously provided testimony at Queen's Park and at the federal level regarding systemic concerns in these areas. My advocacy is grounded in a simple principle that children who come into contact with government-sanctioned institutions must be protected, treated with dignity, and provided with meaningful safeguards against harm. The tragic death of a 10-year-old child while under the supervision of the Halton Children's Aid Society, together with the criminal proceedings and sentencing connected to that case, has raised profound public interest questions. This tragedy requires more than criminal accountability for the two foster mothers directly responsible. It requires an independent examination of the system that was entrusted with that child's safety and well-being. A child who had come under the protection and supervision of the child welfare system should never have been placed in circumstances where such severe harm could occur. The public deserves to know what happened, what safeguards were in place, whether those safeguards failed, and whether warning signs or opportunities to intervene were missed. An independent public inquiry should examine the policies, practices, decisions, oversight mechanisms, reporting procedures, accountability structures, and interagency communications that governed the child's care. It should also determine whether systemic failures contributed to this tragedy and whether similar failures may continue to place other vulnerable children at risk. This matter should not be viewed in isolation. Over the years, I have met with and interviewed children, parents, and former children in care who have described serious concerns about their treatment within Ontario's child protection and family court systems. Some of these accounts involve allegations of physical, emotional, sexual, or other forms of harm while children were involved with, supervised by, or placed through child protection agencies. As a former investigative journalist and child and family justice advocate, I have attended court proceedings and interviewed children and families who have raised serious concerns about children's aid societies in Ontario. I have retained video recordings, affidavits, correspondence, and other documentation relating to some of these matters. If an independent inquiry is established, I would be prepared to provide testimony and, where appropriate, provide contact for other individuals, including children, who would be willing to share their experiences directly with the inquiry. As just one example, a teenage girl who I was assisting just days before her 16th birthday reported going to court with her father seeking only to tell the judge at the Shepherd Avenue Courthouse in Toronto that she was being abused by her mother and that she wished to live with her father. Rather than being meaningfully heard, the judge instructed police to physically restrain her in the courtroom. According to the girl, she was handcuffed in the courtroom, marched through the courthouse with handcuffs in public view, and forced into a police cruiser. She was then transported to a Children's Aid Society group home in the High Park area of Toronto. She had not been charged with an offense, yet she was treated in a manner that, in my view, reflected a serious failure to respect the voice, dignity, and rights of a young person asking for help. Persons of authority in that case, including the judge and the police, committed a criminal act without any accountability. Nothing appeared on any official court record. That example is not raised to ask the government to accept any individual account without scrutiny. Rather, it illustrates why an independent and transparent process is necessary. Families and children who allege harm within these systems deserve a forum capable of examining evidence, identifying patterns, and determining whether existing safeguards are adequate. I could provide many additional examples, some supported by recorded interviews and documentation. However, a catalog of individual cases is not enough. The central question is whether these experiences point to broader systemic problems affecting children and families across Ontario. That is precisely the question an independent public inquiry is designed to answer. I am not asking the Government of Ontario to reach conclusions based on speculation, assumptions, or isolated allegations. The government needs to establish a credible, independent process with the authority, transparency, and public confidence necessary to determine what is actually happening within Ontario's child protection system and what reforms are required to better protect children. The inquiry should be empowered to examine institutional oversight, case management practices, complaint mechanisms, foster and group home supervision, interagency communication, court-related procedures affecting children, qualifications of workers, and the effectiveness of current accountability measures. It should also provide children, former children in care, parents, caregivers, professionals, and advocates with a meaningful opportunity to be heard. Premier, you have emphasized the importance of accountability and transparency. Establishing an independent public inquiry into Ontario's child protection system would demonstrate that those principles apply with particular force where the safety of children is concerned. The people of Ontario need assurance that vulnerable children are not being failed by systems created to protect them. They need confidence that warning signs will be acted upon, that agencies and their workers will be held accountable, and that families will have access to fair, transparent, and effective processes when serious concerns arise. I respectfully urge you and your government to act now by establishing an independent public inquiry into Ontario's child protection system, with the circumstances surrounding the Halton tragedy serving as an important starting point for that examination. Such an inquiry would honor the children and families whose experiences have raised urgent concerns, strengthen public confidence, and help ensure that Ontario's child protection system is guided by transparency, accountability, fairness, and the rule of law. Premier, I thank you for your attention to this most serious matter, and in closing, the time has come to get the job done.